Man, definitely a super windy day. Believe it or not, about 10 seconds before I started recording, there was like a little leaf tornado just kind of spinning around on the road right there. That was interesting to watch. I tried to pull my tablet out to record that a little quicker, but it just went by pretty fast. Shook my truck a little bit. That's for sure. Oh, hey, look over there. Oh, never mind. Never mind. It's just blowing straight. Oh, one over there, too. There's one kind of right in front of that semi. They're just kind of popping up all over the place. I'll tell you that. Anyways, I hope everybody's doing good today, tonight, whenever you're watching this. It is Saturday, November 5th, I believe. Either the 4th or 5th. I'm not too sure. But, yeah. Yep, it's the 5th. Okay, I had to look at my phone. But anyways, I haven't really done these types of videos in a long time, you know. I've been meaning to, and it's just, lately I just haven't really been up for it. And, you know, I figured today I'd do one. And of course it's starting to rain a little bit too. Hope that doesn't cancel what I'm about to do for this video, because there's few things I wanted to address for this video and talk about, and you know, just some things that I've been wanting to mention for a while. So yeah, you know, also answer some questions as well, you know, because I've had some people on both, you know, my YouTube and my TikTok ask me, you know, and I know there's some people on here that follow me on TikTok and maybe also on my Instagram as well, which is cool, you know. I do appreciate that. Right now, this channel is up 237 subscribers. I'm hoping in the next few years, you know, I'll have a crap ton of subscribers. But, you know, if not, you know, whatever. You know, it's not going to break my heart. But, so, like I said, it's November 5th, excuse me. My apologies. This weather's been kind of messing with my mind a little bit. So, you know, Halloween just recently passed, and then, you know, Thanksgiving and Christmas are coming up, which I'm excited for, you know. Even though I miss summer, you know, I will admit, you know, Christmas and Thanksgiving are probably some of my favorite holidays, you know. Christmas is my number one, Thanksgiving number two, 4th of July would be my third one, and then Easter would be my fourth. You know, for Halloween's kind of at the bottom of my list. You know, I used to love Halloween as a kid, but, you know, I'm 24 now. You know, I don't really care much for Halloween. Even though, you know, around Halloween we have a huge Halloween party, which we had one about a couple weeks back. So, yeah, it was a night to remember. You know, unfortunately, there was a lot of people that were invited that didn't make it, but, you know, it is what it is. You know, it's whatever. But, yeah, we've had a lot of on and off rain lately, and then, you know, for a few weeks, about a few weeks ago anyways, it got pretty cold, you know, and one morning I was on my way to school, actually, I think it might have been, a few days or so after I bought this truck, which I'll talk about this truck here in just a little bit. There was a rain-snow mix. You know, I heard that the upper peninsula of Michigan was supposed to get snow, but, you know, while there were some areas in this area that were supposed to get some snow, you know, I didn't hear anything about Bangor or Breedsville or Grand Junction, which I live in the Breedsville, Grand Junction area. You know, didn't hear that area was supposed to get snow, but like I said, I was taking my stepsister to school, and, you know, it was pretty dark out, and like I'm looking at the rain, and it looked like I saw snowflakes as well, you know, the way it was coming down. And you know, I tried to get a video of it, but it was too dark out, and you know, the video wouldn't have been able to see the snow that well, so unfortunately I didn't. But yeah, it was a rain snow mix that morning, and then on my way back, you know, I was hoping it would continue, but then it just went straight to just straight up rain, which I was kind of bummed about, but I mean, it's whatever, you know. But a few weeks back, you know, the upper peninsula of Michigan got plenty of snow. I know the western UP had a lot of snow. You know, I got a friend that lives up in Grand Rapids. You know, he's got, or his dad, I guess, owns a vacation spot over by either Ironwood or no, not Ironwood. Either Iron Mountain or Iron River. I don't know. I know there's 3 towns in the UP that start with the word iron, so but I know it's not Ironwood. But yeah, that area got hit with snow. I believe they said that there was areas around St. Ignace, which is in the eastern UP, if you're not familiar. You know, I guess that area got snow, and then parts of the northern lower peninsula of Michigan got plenty of snow too. I guess they were reporting snow around Gaylord, Roscommon. I think Traverse City and Alpena had some snow too. I'm not too sure. I'll have to look into that again. But yeah, snow in late October. You know, I know some states are used to having snow pretty early, and you know, Michigan. A lot of people mention that the weather here can do just about anything. You know, one minute it could be 90 degrees out, and the next minute it could be low visibility blizzard for hours and hours on hand, you know. And while, yes, that could happen here in Michigan, I don't think I've actually seen it happen like that. I mean, we've had days where, you know, it started out pretty warm, and then it just cooled down super quick. But I don't think I've ever seen it go from 90 degrees to being super cold within 12 hours. That could be me, you know. I'm sure some other people out there have seen it, you know. I know there's other states out there like Minnesota or Colorado or Wyoming that get crazy snow at times, you know. But yeah, you know, Michigan, we've already had snow in October, and you know, I guess there are some areas here in Michigan that are supposed to get snow again in the next few weeks or so. When I looked at the forecast, it originally said that we were supposed to stay in like the 50s, you know, possibly low 60s for like another week or so, and then down to 40s. I'll have to check the forecast again, you know. Like I said, here in Michigan, the forecast changes rapidly, so, you know, I guess we'll see what it does, you know. Whatever the weather does, I'll try and make sure I have that on video. That's for sure. So anyways, before I talk about a few other things, I might as well talk about this subject right now, because it looks like it wants to start raining real soon. So I might as well get this out of the way. But for those of you that have been asking about, you know, whether or not I got a new truck, well, like I just said, yep, I did get a new truck about almost 4 weeks ago, I believe. And you know what? Here, I'll show you guys what the truck is. Well, here it is, folks. This is my new truck right here. This is my 2014 Ford F-150 EcoBoost. It's got a 6.5 foot bed. It's got a V6 EcoBoost, 3.5 liter. And this is definitely a good truck. I definitely like it. It drives nice. It even tows nice. I haven't towed a bunch of heavy stuff with it. I don't really plan to either, because I don't want to beat up on this truck. And if the sound quality on here sounds horrible, I apologize. Hopefully the wind isn't screwing it up too much. This is what the inside looks like. Of course, it's kind of a mess, which I apologize. But when you work for a building contractor, that's just how it goes. There's my tablet cover right there, my headphones. I just brought that in, and then, yeah, I already put a Realtree camouflage steering wheel cover on it, because I like to have steering wheel covers on all my trucks. I just do. It's even got a decent back seat too. Part of the back seat is still flipped up, but that's because I haven't really been hauling anybody else around. I think the only time I've had that down was one time, and that was to take my niece and nephew back to their parents a few weeks back. Of course, I have some tools in here already. Milwaukee radio, Milwaukee vacuum, that transit box, battery powered leaf blower, and then I got a dual Sawzall that I haul around. Even stored my jumper cables in there already. Screw box as well. Even got some bungee cords over there if that's what you're wondering. But yeah, nice full-size crew cab. Here, let me back up. I apologize. And like I said, it's also got a 6.5 foot bed. I like the Ford trucks that are like this, the crew, full crew cab, nice long bed, it's just the type of trucks that I like, and for many reasons. For one, I just got a thing for long beds, and two, I'm not a huge fan of like the single cab trucks or the cab and a half trucks, unless if they're like Chevy Silverados, then I don't mind it. I don't mind them much, but yeah. And then of course the back of my truck's a mess. I gotta take care of this stuff tomorrow. But the one thing I do like, you see this bar right here? Let me show you what it does. Oh shit. Hang on a minute. Alright, sorry about that, folks. I'm had a hell of a time trying to pull that bar up and record at the same time, but yeah, it's got a lock setting. Of course, that thing's dirty as hell. I've been hauling a lot of dirty stuff in here lately, but yeah, it's got a lock setting. You just pull that up, and yeah, what that bar is for, there's a step right here. Yeah, my truck comes with that. I didn't realize it had that until like 3 or 4 days after I bought this truck, and I posted a picture of that pull on Facebook, and because I was kind of dumbfounded by what it was. And so, I posted a picture of that on Facebook and asked everybody and said, okay, what's the meaning of this pole? What's it supposed to do? And within like maybe 3 minutes, I already had like 5 people tell me that there's a step right there, which again, I didn't realize I had until I was told that. The people at the dealership didn't really tell me that. I kind of found that out myself. But yeah, of course the wind's kind of picking back up. Ooh. Oh hey, a Hummer. Go ahead and close this up real quick. This was the truck or SUV, you know, whatever you want to call these things. I call them trucks, but a lot of people call them SUVs, and I'll explain why. But this is the vehicle I had for the past few years. You know, it drove pretty good. It got me from point A to point B a lot of times. It was a good truck, you know, and I still think it kind of is, but unfortunately, you know, this year has just been kind of a shit year for it, you know. Had to fix a few things, and then, you know, it's also got an oil leak somewhere, which I've been trying to figure out where the oil leak is on that thing, and I just have had no luck trying to figure that out. And so, yeah, and then mid to late spring of this year, it's, you know, we had our first hot day, and, you know, this truck just did not like the hot weather. You know, I drove to Kalamazoo to go pay a phone bill, and it just, coming back from Kalamazoo, it started messing up. You know, I was able to get home safely, but then later on I had to run somewhere and go take care of a few things, and then on my way back, the truck stalled on me. Luckily, it started right up. Here's what the backside looks like. It doesn't have like that, or it's only got that like hatch door that like a lot of SUVs have. You know, I tried to look for a Suburban when I was looking for one that had the two doors in the back, and you know, I just couldn't find one for a decent price. But yeah, you know, I got stickers all over here, you know, like Harley Davidson, an Upper Peninsula sticker, Second Amendment, I'm a strong supporter of that. Porcupine Mountains, which is in the western UP, kind of out by Ironwood. Got a couple flag stickers, you know, thin blue line, thin red line. And then that right there, which represents military, first responders, and all that. And then some more stickers right here, of course, you know. Cadillac, that's a town in northern Michigan. I know some people might look at that and think, why does that say Cadillac under that Jeep? I think there's some sort of like off-roading park in that area where a lot of people take their Jeeps to. But yeah, you know, go blue. Wishing I was fishing. Mackinac City. Stand for the flag, kneel for the fallen. And then my faded out Western Michigan University sticker. Lake Michigan. Not sure how well you guys could see that. That looks bright. And then a Great Lake sticker. Happy Camper, which I love camping. South Haven, which I live about 10 miles from there. Wisconsin, which I love that state. And then part of my sticker is missing. That's because I tried to peel it out. But the Porky's or Bust, I also got that from a gift shop where I got that from. And then BS, which is short for Big Springs, not bullshit. But yeah, a few more stickers right there. I had another one right there, which I tore off. And then a few other stickers right here. But anyways, you know, I'm not going to show what the inside of the Suburban looks like because it's kind of trashy in there. I'm going to clean it out later on today. And, you know, right now my uncle is debating whether or not he wants to buy it, you know. If he does, I'm going to try and hold on to it and then have him buy it off of me, you know, when he's ready to. But, yeah, it's starting to rain a little bit. I should probably get back in my Ford. Alright, I had to take my coat off because it's definitely not as cold out today as what people were saying. You'd think with that wind it'd be making it chilly out, but nope, that's not the case at all. So, yeah, but, yeah, that kind of answers the question about, you know, my trucks and all, I still have my Suburban, but right now I'm kind of in the process of trying to get that thing cleaned out, and then I was going to get it put up for sale, but I was also going to kind of hold off on putting it for sale for a few weeks because, like I said, my uncle said that he might be interested in it. I don't know, but as far as putting stickers on that thing, yeah, I went crazy over putting stickers on that truck. It's probably what's going to end up happening with this truck too at some point, probably like within a year or so. I'm not doing it right now because, I'm still trying to get used to this truck, and I don't want to just go right to just putting a bunch of shit on it. So, yeah. But, back to the subject with the Suburban and why it kept screwing up, So, it kept having this issue where it kept shutting itself down. I drive it for a period of time, and especially when it's hot out, and it just kept screwing up, which really bums me out because, I fixed several things on there. I even cleaned some things out that I thought was messing with it, and I just, no matter what I did, it just kept doing the same thing, and, after it happened the first time, I went, my dad and I, we replaced some things on here, there were some spark plug wires that were kind of fried that we replaced, and then we also gave it an oil change too, and the truck did fine for 3 weeks after, I drove it to and from work many times, even in the hot weather, never had an issue. Hell, there was one day, a few days before it started messing up again, and, I was driving around South Haven for maybe a couple hours or so because I had nothing better to do, and, it was a beautiful day. It was almost summertime, and, I wanted to see what everybody was up to in South Haven, so I drove around, not in a weird way. I just like to visit that town, if I got nothing better to do, because, like I said, it's the closest beautiful town in this area. The towns I like a hell of a lot better would be Traverse City, Grand Haven, Ludington, Petoskey, Escanaba, but a lot of those places are quite a drive from here, so a lot of times I go to South Haven. I'd like to put up videos real soon of me driving around those cities, checking out places, which hopefully now that I have a new vehicle that isn't having any issues, hopefully I'll be able to do that next summer, or maybe even in the winter or the spring. I don't know, I guess we'll see. But anyways, I keep jumping off the subject. I apologize. But couple of days after I drove around South Haven, I drove over to my stepsister's school to pick her up, because it was getting to be the end of the school day, and, I had to go pick her up, and it was a super hot day. I left my truck running. I had my air on, and it was just super hot. So I just kind of left my air running, and then after I picked my stepsister up, we go to take off down the road, and I noticed my truck isn't picking up speed like it should be, so I go to push down on the gas some more to try and get it to move, and it just, all of a sudden, it just shut itself down. I had to coast it to the side of the road. We ended up stranded right in front of a funeral home, as a matter of fact, which was kind of scary. And then on top of that, too, the school that she went to, which is in Bloomingdale, that area, if you have T-Mobile, I don't know about any other cell service in that area. But if you have T-Mobile, you're not getting shit for service in that area. I don't know what is it with cell service in that area. There's cell towers in that area, but for some reason I don't know if they need to do some work on the cell service in that area or what. I get good cell service where I live, just outside of Bangor, but for some reason when you're in Bloomingdale and parts of Gobles as well, just dead zone. No cell service. So, of course, we were kind of screwed at that moment. I had to walk around Bloomingdale for a little while and see if I could find a spot that had like Wi-Fi or something. I had my stepsister with me. Luckily, there was this one place there. I think they were closing for the day, but thankfully, these people had like some sort of internet information posted on their door, like their Wi-Fi password and stuff. And I figured, okay, well, either I try this or I don't know what else to do. And I hooked up to that service that Wi-Fi, and everything started coming through after I got connected. And I was like, okay, well, here's my chance. I got on Facebook Messenger, called my dad's fiance saying, hey, we're stranded. I don't know what to do. We need somebody to come get us. And they came about 10, 15 minutes later. And, my dad showed up with a trailer to help haul my truck away. And, we tried fixing several things on my truck, and it just kept doing the same shit. I even tried to do all sorts of research to try and fix it, and just, while I did find some people online that came across the same issue, nobody could figure out what it was. People kept saying it was the fuel pump, which, when I talked to a buddy of mine that was a mechanic, he said that fuel pump, if fuel pumps are going out, your truck doesn't act like that. It might do it once, but once it does it once, your truck's not going to start back up until you fix it. That's what he told me anyways. Maybe he's not right, I'm not calling him a liar or anything, but, he said, he told me not to take his word for it. And yeah, I tried fixing several things on there, and it just, did all sorts of research saying, hey, you might need to replace this. Hey, you might need to replace that. I did. Nothing worked. And, last time it broke down on me, I was on my way. We had just got done with a funeral service, because my dad's fiance's stepfather had passed away this past summer, and I was trying to go back to where he lived over by Lawton, because they were doing like a little get together, memory service there, after the funeral. And on my way there, my truck did the same thing again. Like, it did pretty good driving to and from the funeral service, which I was thankful for. But on my way to the place where they were having the get together, it just, boom. I never made it there. My truck decided to screw up on me. Had to let my truck sit for about 30 minutes or so, and then I was able to start it back up, and I just kind of limped it the rest of the way home. Just did no more than 35 miles per hour. I drove with my four-ways on. I'm not good at repairs, okay? I'll admit it. Maybe there are certain things I am good at fixing, but I'm not an expert when it comes to vehicles, like working on shit, and when I go to do research and, I can't find the right answer, that just adds a lot of frustration to me, and I got to the point where I was fed up with that Suburban, and I was like, you know what? Piss on it. I'm done. I'm done with this truck. Even told my dad and my dad's fiance the same thing. I said, I can't keep doing this. You know, how am I supposed to get anywhere if I'm stuck with a truck that's going to keep doing the same damn thing? And nobody knows what's the issue. You know, I even took it to some shops as well, and they tried running some tests on it. They said they couldn't find anything. You know, even scanned the motor a few times. They said they couldn't find anything either. So I was like, well, you know what? Either I'm going to find a new truck then, or I'm not driving that thing until I know what the issue is. Maybe there's something more to it that I'm not aware of, because like I said, I suck when it comes to vehicle repairs. You know, I'll be honest about that. I am, out of all my brothers and I'm probably at the bottom of the list when it comes to people that know how to fix shit vehicle wise. I'll say that right now. If it was days where it was like cooler out, you know, or if it was raining a bunch, you know, the truck, you know, the Suburban didn't have a whole lot of issues, you know. It would drive all right, you know. Of course, I'd still have to be careful because I've done some research, excuse me, my apologies. And there were some people online that were saying, you know, it might not have an issue with you right now when it's cold out, but sometimes even if it is cold out, it'll start to have that issue. And, you know, that kind of led to all sorts of concerns, and, you know, I started worrying about it. And, you know, there was one day I was supposed to get my nephew, you know, I was supposed to pick him up from his mom, and, you know, so that he can go and see his grandma. And I was worried that my truck was going to mess up, so I told him I wasn't going to do it, which I felt bad, you know, I really did. I felt bad for not picking him up, but at the same time, I didn't want a chance being stranded and then, you know, my nephew worry, you know, because, I mean, you know, that would have been miserable, you know. I've already had that happen with my stepsister one time when she was with me, and my truck did the same thing, and I didn't have cell service. It's just not something I want to do with my nephew either, who's 5 years old, almost to be 6 in a few months. But, which kind of leads me to me getting this Ford F-150. So, there was one day, you know, it was a Wednesday, and we were supposed to go to work, but we ended up getting rained out, which I work for a building contractor, by the way, for those that aren't aware. You know, my dad talks to me and says, hey, do you maybe want to go up to this dealership to go look at some trucks and see what you might like? And I said, yeah. And at the time, I only had like $3,900 on me, and, you know, I was kind of worried. You know, I thought I was going to end up finding something that wasn't running right, you know, or I was going to end up with a shit deal. But, which I'll talk more about that. So, you know, we ride up to this one dealership that's in Grand Ledge, which is just outside of Lansing, for those that don't know. You know, I've had a lot of people that have purchased vehicles from there that I know of, and they tell me that that's probably one of the best places in Michigan to get a new truck. You know, the name of the place was Sundance Chevrolet, or Sundance Vehicle Ranch, or whatever. I'll have to look into that again, but we go there, you know, I guess about a week or so prior. My dad had talked to this one guy there, and we were able to meet up with him. We talked to him, really nice dude. My dad talked to him, and I even said something too, and I said, look, I ain't got much, okay? I'll be honest, I'm still trying to work on this. I'm trying to work on credit for this and that, I've been kind of down in a rabbit hole, past few years because my recent bank fucked me over, which I'm not going to say what bank it was, but, told the guy that I was trying to work on a few things and that, at this point I just, told him it doesn't have to be something that's the best deal, but I just, I'm in the books of finding a new truck right now, and he was like, well, we could help you. We'll help you out, bud. That guy there, he was showing my dad and I around, we saw some trucks that were for sale, and, Sundance Chevrolet, it wasn't just a Chevy dealership, they had all sorts of vehicles. They had Ford, Nissan, Ram, Toyota, you name it. They even had some sports cars there, too. If I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure I saw a Porsche there. And maybe a bunch of Mustangs as well. Like, this dealership, it wasn't just any regular dealership. They had everything. If you were looking for something specific and you had a hard time finding it, they would help you out. Or if they don't have it there, they would point you in the right direction of another place that would have it. So, I told them, well, if you guys have all sorts of vehicles here, I'm not to sound picky, but I just want a truck that's a 4-door, nice long bed, and just has good towing and everything. We walked around, and that's when we found this truck, which is my Ford F-150 that I'm sitting inside right now. And at first I was a little skeptical of getting it, because there are some spots on here that already have some rust on it. And, the guy said that they could work on it, either they could work on that before they sell the truck to me, or, I could take or bring my truck back up in about a few weeks or a few months or so that they can work on the rust spots, because they had a rust spot under one of the door handles, and then, cab corners, which, a lot of the Ford F-150s from 2009 to 2014 are notorious for cab corner rust, and, they said that they would work on it. Originally, I talked to them about maybe waiting until spring to do it, but then my dad kind of made a good point and said, well, you should probably do it before winter. That way, the issue isn't much worse, because, the amount of salt that they put on the roads when, winter time hits, that can mess up your vehicle, and, your vehicle can end up with a shorter life expectancy or this and that, because it's Michigan, They put salt on the roads here in the wintertime. And, yeah, so, in about 3 or 4 weeks from now, I'm taking this truck back up there so that they can do some rust work on it. Oh, excuse me. My apologies. But, yeah, I was able to work out a deal with this truck, or with the guy there about this truck anyways, and, we talked to them. We were there for probably about 5 or 6, maybe 7 hours at the most. And at first they had a hard time, working some deals out with the banks, because, like I said, my credit ain't the best. I've been down a rabbit hole for the past few years, because, like I said, my previous bank screwed me over, and I haven't really had much on my bank account lately because of it. I've just been doing everything with cash. So, yeah. But luckily we were able to work something out, you know. I'm in the process of getting a bank account started. Luckily, you know, sometime in about a few days I'll have it up, and I was going to put money on there so that I can get my payments made, you know, because I got to pay on it, you know, on the 11th of every month. So, yeah, luckily I got a good amount of money right now, so all I got to do is put it on the bank account and boom, everything's taken care of, or at least I hope so. But yeah, you know, that's kind of why I got this truck, you know, because, you know, just like I said, you know, this truck's been a very nice truck. You know, I've driven it to and from work, and I've never had an issue, you know. The radio is pretty good too. It's got a Bluetooth radio. I hook my phone up to it and just play either my Spotify playlist, or I'll have like a Pandora playlist playing. And this truck has really helped me, you know, and I hope it continues to do that. You know, this truck doesn't have a whole lot of miles on it either. You know, it's an 8-year-old truck. You know, this is a 2014 truck, like I said, but like I said, you know, it only had like maybe 60,000 plus miles on it when I bought it. It's a little over 61,000 plus miles now, but, you know, just like I said, you know, I like to drive around a lot. I also like to travel. I like to go up to northern Michigan, and, you know, at some point I want to try and make a trip down to either Tennessee or Kentucky, you know, so hopefully this truck does pretty good, you know, when I go down. But, yeah, that's pretty much the story about my trucks. You know, at the time when I got my Suburban, which was December of 2020, at the time that I bought that thing, it, you know, I had a 2000 Dodge Ram 1500, and, you know, that truck was a good truck. You know, it's been through a lot, but, you know, I mean, I've definitely made a few trips with that truck, and it was a good truck. But, like, 2020 was a bad year for that truck because, you know, as the year went through, you know, it just started having a bunch of issues. The motor was starting to make some noise. You know, my radio was about to quit working. You know, all my turn signals, you know, my brake lights and everything weren't working. It still had power, but everything was just going out in it at the time. And, you know, I also had another vehicle at that point, which was a 2005 Dodge Durango. And, you know, originally the Durango was just supposed to be my winter beater. You know, I'd drive that around while I let my green truck sit and, you know, possibly do some work on it. And unfortunately, that was not the case at all. But it doesn't really help much that I bought the Durango cheap, you know. I knew it needed some work, you know. The main thing was a water pump, which I knew a lot of people that know how to work on water pumps. So I figured, okay, well, you know, we'll get that fixed and figure out what else the truck needs, and or what the Durango needs, and we'll get through. Unfortunately, that was not the case. You know, not only did it need a water pump, but it needed a tensioner and a serpentine belt as well. And then, you know, come to find out, the truck had a blown head gasket. So basically, even though the people at the shop fixed the water pump, the tensioner, and serpentine belt. It still wasn't working, and you know, I still ended up paying a fuck ton on repairs, even though it wasn't fixed properly. But you know, my plan was to try and put a new motor in there, but you know, I sat down and talked to my dad, you know, because I mean, there were a lot of parts under the Durango that were rusted out pretty badly. And it just, it all came down to the point to where it really wasn't worth with that Durango, because it was rusted out badly. And then, you know, my green truck was starting to mess up pretty badly as well. And just, you know, I just got fed up and just wanted to find something else. And, you know, that's when I found that Suburban. And at that point, it had only 1,098, well, actually 1,097,000 plus miles on it, which, you know, the people that had that truck before me, you know, they took really good care of it. It was a good truck. It drove nice, you know. Everything in it still worked perfectly fine. You know, it drove nice. You know, it handled highway drives pretty good. I think I made about like 4 or 5 northern Michigan trips with that truck, and it was a good truck. You know, I even hauled a wood trailer, you know, trailer full of logs anyways, with that Suburban, and that thing was a beast. Towed that thing like it was nothing, you know, which that's another thing too. You know, I will say this right now, I think out of a lot of the SUVs out there, I would say the Suburban and the Yukon XLs are probably my favorite SUVs out there, because, you know, they tow good, they, you know, they work just like trucks. You know, I like them. And would I love to have another Suburban? Absolutely. And that's kind of what I wanted to do originally before I got this truck, you know, was try and save up for like a newer Suburban. But the problem is, you know, a lot of people that own Suburbans, they end up putting a fuck ton of miles on those things. And, you know, trying to find one that has low mileage is almost like trying to, how should I say this? Well, just fuck it. Never mind. But, you know, I had a hell of a time finding a Suburban or a Yukon XL, a newer one anyways, that had way less miles, you know. I like a lot of the Suburbans and Yukons that they made like from 2007 to 2014, and I also like the 2021 and newer versions they made, you know. Like I said, Suburbans and Yukon XLs are probably some of my favorite vehicles, or some of my favorite SUVs to own, because like I said, you know, they're kind of built like trucks, you know. They have good towing, you could fit a lot of things in there, and yeah. So with all that out of the way, sorry I had to make this a long subject about my trucks, but so I'm going to talk about a few other things. So anyways, about a little over 6 years ago, I uploaded this one video to my YouTube, and I really didn't expect the video to blow up the way it did. I mean, it doesn't have a crap ton of views on it, but definitely has way more views than what a lot of my other YouTube videos have. But you know, one night, which I really wasn't planning on making YouTube videos, I was still living at my mom's. You know, I was getting late. I was letting my mom's dogs out for them to go potty, and you know, at the corner of my eye, while I'm letting my dog out, you know, I see a blinking light in the woods. And so I look at it, you know, it lasted for about a good couple minutes or so, and then it stopped, and then it started again, and I was like, I'm gonna try and get a video of this thing, you know. I'm looking at it, you know, there's no cell towers back there, you know, no houses or anything, you know, or if there were cell towers, you know, a lot of them in that area blinked red at nighttime, so it couldn't have been a cell tower. But, yeah, you know, I got video of it. I think it maybe went off like 5 or 6 times in the video, and, you know, just, I upload that video to my YouTube, and, you know, I think, you know, like I said, keep in mind, my YouTube does not get a whole lot of attention, like I said, so, you know, I think by the time, you know, 2 months have passed, I had a lot of people commenting on that video and saying, oh, you know, I saw the same exact thing, like here in Tennessee or here in North Carolina. I was camping in northern Michigan where there was nobody else in sight, and all of a sudden I started seeing the same thing. Like, I was just kind of mind blown. I'm like, holy crap. All these people are coming forward and telling me about this, you know, saying that they saw the same thing, you know. I didn't know what to say at that point. Like, you know, a lot of people were coming forward, you know, talking about how they saw the same thing, and they saw it like here or there, you know. I even had some people tell me they saw it up in like Alaska or Canada, you know. I just didn't know what to think, you know. And then I think, you know, a few years had passed, and, you know, there were still a lot of people that were commenting and saying, man, you know, I just saw this, I saw that too. And I've had other people ask me, well, actually, this one comment last year that asked me if I saw the same thing, and which I did, you know. I saw the same thing in kind of the same woods about a few months later. And then there was one time we were camping down in Tennessee. I think it was back in 2019. And I'm looking at a mountain, and in the mountain you see the same light. You know, I mean, yes, there were cell towers in the area, but a lot of them in that area blinked red. And, you know, I asked one of the park rangers there if that usually happens, and they said, you know, this has been spotted all over the place, you know. And I told the guy, you know, I said, well, I made a video 3 years as of the time, you know, I was talking to that guy, because it was 2016 I uploaded the video. You know, 3 years later, skip ahead to 2019, and I'm talking to this guy there, and he said that that's been spotted all over the place as well. And then I think the next year or so, or no, it was early 2021, excuse me. It was a snowstorm. I was coming home from work. It was late at night, and I was passing by some woods. You know, there was nobody else inside. You know, it was just me driving. I mean, there was maybe one car behind me, but he was a ways back, because, you know, I was driving slow, and it was kind of a whiteout. And sure enough, you know, I passed by some woods, and I saw the same exact thing. You know, it caught me way off guard. You know, I didn't know what to think, you know. I was going to try and pull my phone out and record it, but like I said, you know, there was a snowstorm, and, you know, I really didn't want to be on my phone at that point, you know, because I was trying to focus on driving, and, you know, I didn't want to, like, you know, take one hand off the wheel, because, you know, there was some the roads were pretty bad that night. You know, slush all over the place, you know. Even with my four-wheel drive on, you know, I was still just all over the place. But, yeah, I've seen that blinking light many different times. I haven't seen it since that time, but, you know, 2021, which was pretty much last year, or the time I saw it, it was almost 2 years ago, because it was either January or February that I saw it, but I haven't seen it since. I've been kind of keeping my eyes peeled, you know, if I'm out late at night, but, you know, I haven't seen that since. And check this out. I'm sitting here in my truck talking, and my freaking windows are just fogged up. Don't you just love when you're sitting in a vehicle and like it's raining out, and then all of a sudden your windows just start fogging up? Surprisingly, this one next to me isn't yet, but just everything to my right is just fogging up. Oh, and my back window too. That's interesting. So anyways, this is another thing I want to kind of talk about. So one thing I want to start doing for my channel is, you know, talk about those that inspire me to do certain things, or that just inspire me to think about certain things. You know, like there's all sorts of YouTubers out there that I watch, you know, and that I enjoy watching. You know, people like Lance Stewart or Lance 210, whatever you want to call them. And then, you know, people like Mav, which I'm going to talk about him here shortly. And then, you know, Snow Dogs vlogs, oh my gosh, vlogs, you know, like I watch a lot of vlogging channels. And then, you know, I also watch a lot of storm chasing channels too, you know, like Reed Timmer, you know, TVN Weather, or whatever that YouTube channel is. Now I know that channel has changed a bunch in the past few years, or changed their names. And then, you know, there's even independent storm chasers out there that I watch too, like this one person that I watch. I'm not going to say that person's name because, you know, it's kind of a, you know, he doesn't like to be talked about in a lot of his videos, so I'm not going to mention him, but I watch him as well, and he does a pretty good job of, you know, storm chasing. You know, I definitely like his videos. But yeah, you know, a lot of the storm chasers out there, they kind of inspire me to make weather videos, which is why I do a lot of those videos, even if it's just raining out. Like if it's not storming or anything, you know, I'll still make weather videos. You know, if it's snowing as well, like as much as I don't like being out in the snow for a period of time, I do like to record the snow. You know, that's just what I like to do. You know, funny how I'm talking about storms, and, you know, I just got this weather alert that popped up on my phone. I know, kind of hard to do this when you're in selfie mode, but not sure how well you guys could see it. I'm sorry if it looks blurry, but yeah, that's kind of my area. Looks like Van Buren County, Allegan County, and Ottawa County are under a severe thunderstorm warning. Looks like, here, let me read this. This says, National Weather Service in Grand Rapids has issued a severe thunderstorm warning for Van Buren County in southwestern Michigan, Allegan County in southwestern Michigan, Ottawa County in southwestern Michigan until 4:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which it's 3:06 right now. At 2:47 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, thunderstorms were located along a line extending from 30 miles west of Holland State Park to 15 miles west of St. Joe, moving at moving northeast at 55 miles per hour, hazard 60-mile-per-hour wind gust. Whoa. Radar source, radar indicated, impact, expect damage to roofs, siding, and trees. Wow, I did not know we were even supposed to get this storm today, but okay. Locations impacted include Howland, Grand Haven, Allegan, South Haven, Pawpaw, Hudsonville, Zeeland, Coopersville, Wayland, Otsego, Plainwell, Ferrysburg, Hartford, Spring Lake, Matawan, Lawton, Bangor, Decatur, Fenville, Saugatuck. Hail threat radar indicated max hail size 0.75 inches. Wind threat radar indicated max wind gust 60 miles per hour. Wow. Like I said, I didn't know we were supposed to get storms today. I knew it was supposed to rain. I knew it was supposed to be super windy as well. I had no idea it was even supposed to storm like crazy. But, man, it's funny how I was talking about it, and then all of a sudden I get this weather alert that there's this bad storm in the area. And, I mean, it doesn't... Looking outside, which I can't really see outside right now because my windows are kind of fogged up, but... You know, here, let's step outside for a little bit and see what it looks like. I mean, clouds are kind of moving pretty fast. Oh, I thought that was a funnel cloud at first. Holy smokes. Oh, got a wind gust coming. Oh, look at all those leaves. I mean, the clouds are moving pretty fast, but like, I don't see any like wall clouds or anything. I mean, it looks kind of crappy to our east. I don't know. Some of the clouds look like they're rotating in some spots, but not really rotating to the point where it's concerning me. That right there, which that's moving away, thank goodness, but that kind of concerns me a little bit, but yeah. Oh. I'm just hoping our frickin' cell service doesn't go out, or our power doesn't go out either, because out here in this area, every time we get a bad storm, that happens. You can see how fogged up my truck is from out here. That's crazy, man. Guess I'll just kind of keep an eye out on the weather as I make this video. I mean, it is raining on and off, and the wind's pretty crazy, but other than that, I don't think it looks too bad. Where'd that one cloud go? It's looks like kind of disappeared or moved away super quick. I don't know. I mean, the clouds are moving northeast right now, so I don't know. My windows are still super fogged up at this point. And I'm not zoomed in either. It's just the way my camera looks. But yeah, like I said, whoa, my truck's shaking a little bit. Wow. Okay then. Yeah, that wind. I mean, it's super windy out, like I said, but man. But anyways, you know, like I said, I didn't know we were supposed to get any bad storms, but you know, like I said, you know, the weather alert ends after 4, so I guess we'll see, you know, what comes. Right now it is 3:13, so I guess we'll see what happens. But you know, it's, you know, back to the subject with people that inspire me, you know, like, you know, people like Mav, which I'm sure some of you that are watching this video are probably familiar with who he is. If not, you know, like I said, I'm going to get into YouTubers and everybody else that inspires me. You know, I'll probably do that like every week or so, or maybe every other week, maybe once a month, who knows. But Mav, you know, people like him are what kind of inspired me to get a truck like this, you know, because like I said, I love to travel, and I also love camping too, you know. So he does a lot of like the truck camping stuff, you know. He camps in the bed of his truck. He has a truck topper in the back, which eventually I want to try and get a topper for the back of this truck as well. You know, something I've been wanting to do for a while, and you know, hopefully sometime in the summertime I'll be able to do something like that. Right now I just have a tonneau cover, which I'm sure you guys saw that when I was looking at my truck. Yeah, I have a tonneau cover for now, but you know, when I get a bed cap, I'll probably get rid of that tonneau cover. You know, who knows? But yeah, you know, maybe sometime when the warmer weather kicks back up, you know, that's what I want to try and do, you know, because I think it'd be something cool to do. I'm just not going to do it in the wintertime, because you look at what Mav does, you know, he even truck camps like in blizzards, you know, which he has the guts to do that. You know, he even has, you know, a lot of the things to do that as well, like this propane heater. You know, he's even got a carbon monoxide detector in the back, you know. So, I mean, I guess if you have the right stuff and you know what you're doing, then, hey, you know, you do you. You do what you want, you know, live your life, whatever. But still, you know, truck camping in the wintertime, I couldn't do that, bro. I really couldn't. But like I said, folks, if you don't know who Mav is, I highly recommend checking him out, you know. Really cool dude. Definitely one of my favorite YouTubers to watch besides, you know, Snow Dogs Vlogs, which is a YouTube channel based in Alpena, Michigan. If I remember correctly, I believe Mav is I think he lives in Duluth, Minnesota, or somewhere in that area. I know he does a lot of videos in that area. If I remember correctly, I believe he came to the Upper Peninsula of Michigan as well. I know he travels a lot. Recently, he did a lot of like traveling in Canada. He met up with another YouTuber by the name Steve Wallace, which highly recommend checking him out as well. He's a good YouTuber. I know this year has not been a very good year for him because, you know, I guess his wife passed away recently, you know, which I feel for him, you know, that's tough, you know. I'm not married, but like, you know, the way he lost his wife, you know, it was super tragic. You know, I would never want for anybody to lose a loved one like that. It's sad, bro. It really is. But yeah, like I said, Steve Wallace, you know, he's based out of Canada, and, you know, he does kind of the same stuff that Maverick does Except, you know, he doesn't have a truck. He, I believe he drives either a Honda or a Toyota. I don't remember. I know there for a while he had a Suburban like I had, except his with a blue. His Suburban was a tan-ish color, you know. But, yeah, he drives around in a Toyota SUV, if I remember correctly anyways. But, yeah, back to Mav, you know, he does a lot of the truck camping. You know, he even did this long trip, you know, called, you know, on this road that's called the Alaskan Highway that starts somewhere in Canada and goes all the way to Anchorage. You know, he went and saw a bunch of beautiful places while on that road, which that's something I would like to do. Only downside is, you know, I don't have like passport information to go to Canada. Otherwise, that's something I would do. And if I'm going to do a trip that's that long, like, I'm not going to go by myself. I want to have at least somebody with me, maybe somebody following me, like in another vehicle, like maybe a family member or a friend, just in case if something happens, or if something happens to that person, you know, then we're nearby, you know. Especially if we're going to be in an area that has no cell service. Because I know he said that there were spots on that road where you didn't get cell service for like 2 or 3 hours. So, yeah. Definitely want to make sure you're prepared for a trip like that. But like I said, it's Mav, so, you know. I know he's also been to Mexico a few times and truck camps there, which is pretty cool. You know, the last video he did, I guess, his truck, you know, which is his 2011 Ford F-150. I guess his motor started having some issues, which is kind of unfortunate because, you know, he's all the way up in Alaska at this point, and, you know, he lives all the way in Duluth, Minnesota. So, you know, I hope he makes it back home safe and sound and is able to get his truck fixed and all that, because whatever they said the issue was, I guess it's not cheap. You know, $3,000, which better than $7,000 or $8,000, I guess. But still, $3,000, you know, that's a lot of money. And I'm pretty sure he's only had that truck for maybe 3 or 4 years. But, you know, he probably puts a crap ton of miles on his trucks for the stuff he does. So, you know, when you travel a lot, you know, you got to at least expect something to happen, you know. But, hey, it is what it is. And like I said, I do hope that he is able to get back home safe and sound with as little issue as possible, you know. So anyways, now I'm going to start answering some questions here, and then I'm probably going to cut this video. So I got asked recently, you know, like, you know, if I am able to travel real soon, where do I want to travel to, and, you know, what are my plans to do so? Well, at this point in time, I don't really have anything planned. You know, soon I'd like to make it back up to the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, or even make it over across Lake Michigan to Wisconsin, and, you know, do some videos there. Because let me tell you, you know, a lot of people talk about Wisconsin and act like, you know, there ain't shit there. When really, I mean, the way Wisconsin is definitely reminds me of some of the counties here in Michigan. You know, there's a lot of, like, areas there that I enjoyed seeing, you know, like, for me, seeing a bunch of, like, farmland, you know. I mean, Okay, if there's like crap ton of farmland for like miles and miles and miles and miles and nothing else, then yes, that can get a little boring. But, Wisconsin has more to that than just farmland and stuff. They got all these places there, you know, beautiful cities as well, like Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Wausau, that's a really nice city as well. That city definitely reminded me of some of the cities here in Michigan. And then, Wisconsin Dells, that's a good spot to visit. There were some other spots in Wisconsin that I wanted to visit, but, we ended up not going there. But, was hoping to visit Green Bay. That didn't happen. And then, I got some friends that are trying to move over to Appleton, which is not too far from Green Bay. And then, Manitowoc or Manitowoc, however you pronounce that one town. You could take a ferry there from Ludington and go there, like if you're heading westbound on US 10, because if you take the ferry across the lake to Manitowoc, US 10 starts back up and continues, which I think is absolutely cool. Not saying I want to take a ferry, but I guess I would do it once just to say that I've done it. Maybe get some videos of it as well, because I think that'd be cool to do. There's a few other states kind of towards the west I want to visit too, like Minnesota, and like to visit Montana and possibly Washington and Oregon as well. But, that might be, even if I do end up going there, like it'll probably be a long time, because, that's a lot of money. Got to have money for gas too. And, considering how gas prices have been in the past few years, that probably won't happen for a while, because, gas has been expensive. But, yeah, Idaho as well. That's another state I'd like to visit. But, yeah. And like I said, I would also like to head south too, go down to like Kentucky or Tennessee, maybe even make it down to Georgia or Florida. Would love to go down to Texas as well, But that also kind of depends on, gas and all that shit, But, yeah. I guess we'll see what happens in the next few years, Hope like hell, shit doesn't go skyrocketing again, majorly. But, yeah. Alright, I'm reading this one comment right now. This comment asks me, if I could move to, I know you said you don't like big cities and all, but if you could move to any major city out there, which would it be? Well, yeah, he's not wrong. I'm not much of a city person, but I do have some answers for that. If I had to choose, which, there are certain major cities out there that I do like, but if I had to choose a few, I would say either Nashville, Louisville, Milwaukee, or just, what else? There's a few other cities that I like too that I'm trying to think of, Those would be probably my top three, There's other cities out there that I like, My list is kind of out of order. But, and Chattanooga, Tennessee, too. That's another city I was thinking of, Chattanooga is absolutely beautiful. It's surrounded by mountains. You can even go up to some of the mountains and see the entire view of Chattanooga. Absolutely beautiful. I did a YouTube video a few years back where we were on this one mountain, Lookout Mountain. That was the name of the mountain. Went to this one spot there. You could see Chattanooga, and you could just see miles and miles and miles of mountains. Like, it is beautiful, man. Like, I can't say that enough. Like, just absolutely beautiful. You know, as a matter of fact, you know, I think Chattanooga would probably be my number one, you know, and then Milwaukee would be my number two, Nashville 3, Louisville 4, you know. But yeah, well, like I said, you know, there's many other major cities out there that I like, that I think are nice, but you know, I'm not gonna keep naming a few. You know, there are some cities here in Michigan that I like, you know, mostly like smaller cities anyways, you know, like we have some small cities here that are absolutely beautiful, you know, places like Holland, Michigan, you know, places like Muskegon, you know, and, you know, Ann Arbor's not a bad city, you know, that city's kind of beautiful as well, you know, and obviously if you can't tell from my sweatshirt, you know, Michigan, you know, University of Michigan, you know, no disrespect to all the State fans out there, but, you know, I'm a huge Michigan fan, you know. I like East Lansing as well. East Lansing is kind of beautiful. Downtown Lansing, I guess, is beautiful as well, but East Lansing, you know, I would say East Lansing is pretty nice as well. But, you know, Michigan has its share of beautiful places, you know. There's a lot of places here that are beautiful, you know. A lot of like beach towns that are nice, and then, you know, a lot of the towns up in northern Michigan, both the UP and Michigan's lower northern area, you know, like there are some towns there that are nice, you know. My favorite town in Michigan's northern lower peninsula would probably be a tie of Traverse City and Petoskey, you know. I think both of those towns are super beautiful. A town that I like to go to that's not in northern Michigan is Frankenmuth, you know. I think that town's nice. You know, there's a few small towns like between Kalamazoo and Grand Rapids, and, you know, just small towns on the outskirts of Lansing that are pretty nice too, you know, like Plainwell, Michigan is kind of a nice town, you know. Charlotte's kind of a nice small town too, you know. St. John's, Durand, Perry, Williamston, what else? Downtown Paw Paw is nice, you know. But yeah, the list continues, but I'm not going to name a crap ton. But yeah, like I said, you know, there's towns around here that are beautiful as well. I'll tell you that right now. All right, a few more questions I'm going to answer. This question, this isn't really anything big, but this was a question that was asked on TikTok. But this question asks, you know, do you like certain cars as well, or are you just a truck person? There are certain cars out there that I do like, you know, which, yes, you know, like I said, I'm mainly a truck person, but there are cars out there that I think are nice, and, you know, there are cars out there that I would like to own, you know. Mostly like older muscle cars anyways, but there are certain cars out there that I think are nice, you know, like Lincoln Town Cars, which they don't make those anymore, but, you know, those are cars that I think are really nice. You know, some of the Cadillac cars they make are nice too. And then, you know, obviously, I don't know if I've said this before, but, you know, I like Corvettes, I like Mustangs, you know. Porsches, I guess, are okay. And, okay, I mean, I kind of like Lamborghinis a little bit, but honestly, you know, the way I live, you know, I don't really care for them. But, I mean, they are nice cars. I mean, I don't plan on ever owning one, but like if I were to ever like win one for whatever reason, then so be it. But if I want to go for like any new type of cool looking car, then I'd just go with a Mustang or a Corvette. Just my honest opinion. Or even a Challenger or a Charger. You know, that's just how I am. I'll say that right now. You know, this last question I'm going to answer is, you know, somebody asking me, you know, what do I think, I guess, about the Jeep Gladiators, which are the Jeep pickup trucks they make now. They're not my favorite truck, I'll admit, you know. I mean, I'm not too hardcore about those trucks, but, you know, what I will say is, you know, I've noticed a lot of people have been talking down on those trucks, you know, acting like those are the worst trucks out there, which, I mean, that's their opinion, you know. I ain't gonna judge them for thinking so, but, like, you know, I'd say the type of truck I would not want to own would be like the Rivian trucks that they make now, which I think those trucks look like shit, you know. Those trucks, in my opinion, just whoever in their right mind came up with the idea of making those types of trucks, like, somebody obviously needs to go back to school, because in my opinion, those trucks look like somebody just wrote something in their book and just figured, okay, I'm going to make this type of truck. And then just started making it, like, you know. The Rivians, you know, the Rivian pickup trucks they make anyways, I'm just not a fan of it, you know. The Ford Mavericks, I guess they're not the worst, but Ford Mavericks, you know, I'm not too big of a fan of those trucks either. And then, you know, the newer Honda Ridgelines, like, honestly, the Ridgelines are probably at the bottom of my list of trucks I would drive. Like, if I had to choose between a Jeep Gladiator and a Honda Ridgeline, I would much rather go with a Gladiator, because the Ridgelines, like, who wants to drive a newer one? At least, you know, the older Ridgelines they make were somewhat decent, even though they just made them look like the Chevy Avalanche. But hell, like, honestly, I never really cared much for the Ridgelines. Like, I'll say that right now. Just my honest opinion. And then there's another truck out there as well, which I didn't even know this classified as a truck, but the Hyundai Santa Cruz. I had no idea those even classified as trucks, but honestly, I don't really like those either. I don't know. In my opinion, if it's not, you know, a Ford truck, like either a Ranger or an F-150, F-250, yada, 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 or like a Silverado or a Ram or Sierra or just any of the bigger truck names out there, you know, or even Nissan, you know. If it ain't that either, then I don't really care for it, you know. I mean, Toyota is kind of in that range for me as well, you know. Like, I don't have a problem with Tundras or Tacomas, but like anything from like a Hyundai or a freaking Ridgeline or just a Rivian or freaking whatever, you know, like, those trucks are just ugly in my opinion. Just saying. You know, again, I'd much rather drive a Gladiator than any of those trucks. But even then, you know, I'm not saying I want to own a Jeep Gladiator, but if I absolutely were to choose between a Gladiator or any of those trucks, I'd go with a Gladiator. 100%. But anyways, that's all I gotta say. I'm starting to see some dark clouds now, but you know, the clouds look like they're just moving northeast still, but I'll keep an eye on the clouds. You know, I'll see what they're gonna do. You know, if I end up getting it on video, so be it. If not, whatever. Like I said, I just hope we don't lose power or lose cell service like we usually do every time we get a bad storm. And I'm hoping and praying it's not as bad as what people are saying it's going to be. Who knows? But anyways, this is just a weekly update. Well, I guess monthly update, I should say, because I don't make these videos weekly anymore. But hope everybody's having a great day, great night whenever you're watching this. And that's that. Y'all take care now. Peace.